Kicks 105.5 WKXH. Good morning. I'm JJ. It is Wednesday, March 8th at 7:54 and 25 degrees outside. I'll have your full weather forecast coming up in just a little bit, but first we're going to talk with, I can't even talk this morning. We're going to talk with Mike Barrett from the Barrett Insurance Agency. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning. Sorry I'm running a little bit late. One of those mornings. So good policies this morning. We don't have a lot of time, so I thought we'd just talk about something that hit me last night like a ton of bricks. You know, I was at the town meeting in Waterford, and one of the articles was the consideration of ATVs. Ended up being tabled for the year, but there was quite a bit of a discussion on ATVs possibly being on roads, which doesn't look like it's going to happen in town. But people were talking about the different things and stipulations and concerns, and I'm like, man, it's been a long time since I've talked about ATV insurance, so I think it's warranting a discussion. So let's talk about ATV insurance, which could also trickle into snowmobile insurance, to be totally honest with you. ATVs, you know, there's an option for you to insure an ATV as an endorsement on your homeowner policy, which I never recommend. And that's why I thought we'd bring this up this morning. Endorsing it and having it as an additional piece of coverage in your homeowner is going to give you liability protection, going to give you physical damage protection for the ATV, and that's it. It's not going to give you any protection if you're hit by an uninsured motorist. It's not going to give you any medical payments if you sustain an injury on the unit while operating it. So while you're protecting your liability exposure and your investment in the unit, you still are exposing yourself to many things. So with ATVs and snowmobiles as well, I would strongly advise, because you can do the same thing with snowmobiles with listing them on your homeowner policy with many companies, make sure you have a separate policy. So have a policy specifically made and tailored for an ATV or a snowmobile. And why I say that is because it's going to mirror an auto policy, right? It's going to have liability protection like what you'd have on your auto policy. You have the ability to add medical payments of $1,000 or more, up to $10,000 to $25,000 to $50,000 if you or a passenger sustain an injury on the unit. There's going to be uninsured motorist protection if you are struck by a person who either has no or not enough liability insurance and you have sustained injury and property damage. There's more coverage available for the physical damage part of the ATV. Some of them have replacement coverage for new ATVs and snowmobiles. So there's much more opportunity. And I'll be honest with you, in many cases, it prices out a little bit better, especially for the older units, where you could be paying $75 to $100 a year for a late model ATV with all the bells and whistles of coverage. So something to think about. And then another part of the conversation last night that struck me was talking about age of riders. And with these policies, there are some companies that say you can't be younger than, right? So pay close attention if you have riders under the age of 14, what company you may have insurance with, because there could be rider exclusions for young operators depending on who you're with. So a dialogue that you should absolutely have with your carrier or your agent is to make sure that if you have a young driver on the unit, that they are not excluded.
Yeah, and isn't there something like for ATVs, like kind of similar to driver's ed?
Yeah, so in Vermont especially, heck, when I wanted to be able to, pilot a boat, just a regular watercraft on the water, nothing spectacular, because of my date of birth, I needed to get a boat certificate. I had to do like an online course, and that's certainly something that needs to be done today if you're doing an ATV or snowmobile. So you should definitely check with the state, see what the requirements are, make sure that they're taking the appropriate course study and getting that little card that lets them ride legally. So good point.
Awesome.
Look at that, short and sweet. How cool! That never happens.
Yeah, now I got to go shovel snow.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, thanks so much for coming in. If somebody has any kind of insurance questions, how can they reach out?
Sure, very simple. Give us a call, 748-5224. You can find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com, Google, Facebook, and YouTube. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency.
Thank you so much, Mike, for coming in, and
My pleasure.
We'll talk with you again next week.
Have a good week.
That was Mike Barrett from Barrett Insurance Agency right here in St. Johnsbury on Portland Street. Now let's get back to the music.